Hello and welcome back to the DRH Show. Today, we are delighted to have a pioneer in the field of energy healing. With over 2 decades of dedicated research and development, he stands at the forefront of scalar energy healing, a field inspired by the groundbreaking work of legends like Nikola Tesla. His journey began during his undergraduate years, driven by a fascination with the untapped potential of scalar energy, known across cultures as prana, chi, and orgone. His relentless pursuit led to the creation of the scalar light technique, a revolutionary approach using passive light energy to facilitate healing. His work, focused on eradicating pathogenic diseases, represents a unique intersection of science and wellness. By harnessing the power of scalar energy through photographic representations, he offers a novel path to health and wellness, touching lives worldwide. Tom Paladino, thank you for being here with us today.
And I thank you for the invite. Pleasure.
Okay. So, Tom, tell us a bit about your background, your trajectory in life, and how you ended up doing what you're doing. How you became an expert in scalar energy.
I am a scalar energy researcher. And initially, as a youngster, I started to study Nikola Tesla. And I understood what Tesla was doing, at least in theory. So I decided upon that career path, that scientific path, if you will, to study scalar energy, which is essentially the energy of the sun and the stars. To study scalar energy and to be able to harness that energy with instrumentation and then prove that not only is this a valid energy, that this indeed is a life force energy, but it is able to accomplish many work functions. So it started with Tesla as a youngster. I really grasped on to Tesla research.
So, Tom, can you just explain to us a bit how scalar energy can be used as an unlimited supply of energy to potentially end the energy crisis?
Yeah, that's a good point. So behind me, I'm in my laboratory for a reason. This is a scalar energy instrument. I'm going to turn my screen. The audience can look. That's a scalar energy instrument. You'll notice that there's no moving parts. There is no motor to that instrument. Rather, we are creating a standing wave, a scalar wave. So this instrument, if you will, captures the energy from the sun and the stars. Now, I can demonstrate how this instrument is giving off so much energy that it could be construed as a free energy instrument. If I were to take a light bulb and hold it in my hand and pass it close to the instrument, the light bulb will illuminate under the influence of the scalar wave. There's so much energy coming off the instrument. So that energy powers a light bulb. Here's another indication. Here's a fluorescent tube that I could animate simply by passing it close to the instrument. The fluorescent tube will animate, it will illuminate it. Now, the point I'm making is this is not electricity, it's a different type of energy. It's the energy of the sun and the stars. As I mentioned, this is a new branch of physics, and I want to introduce to the world the new branch of physics and in application what it can do for people.
And would you say that scalar energy is sort of comparable to, because when you're demonstrating it, it reminds me of my elementary class about photosynthesis. Would that be a good analogy?
Yes, that's a perfect analogy. If you look at the light from the sun, it creates photosynthesis. It's the driving force, the animating force of photosynthesis. So you start always with light energy. Light energy is the first principle. This is what I like about my research. I'm not working with the effect, I'm working with the cause. This is causal in nature. And with that stated, when I'm working with that first principle, I can do incredible things with scalar energy.
Would you say that this is the future of healing? Because there's a lot of, there's a lot of school of thought that, probably it's water that can help us heal, or all sorts of things that could help us when it comes to mindfulness. Would you say that, this form of healing could essentially help us with a lot of mental health issues, if you will?
Yes, and it's already demonstrated to do so. Now keep in mind, this is energy from the sun and the stars. It's pure, it's clean. And in so doing, we're not working with chemicals, we're working exclusively with light. By the way, scalar light is non-physical. Scalar light does not have any electrons or protons involved. Now, let me demonstrate how I use this instrument. And keep in mind, this is not electromagnetic theory. When I work with people, I work through their photograph. I'm going to hold up my photograph. My photograph has a light source or a light signature attached to it. So I never work in person. I work with the quantum field. I work with the energy field on a photograph. Now, if I were to place my photograph inside the instrument, there's a quantum connection to my force field. So to be very clear, this is not a biological process. I work with non-physical energy to access a force field. Now, if I were to place my photograph inside this instrument, once again, it's animated by this light, and that type of light serves to correct an emotional imbalance or psychological imbalance. So what am I saying? Working through a force field, an energy field of a person, and by applying this energy instrument to the energy field, I can access the conscious, the subconscious mind. I can access the brain waves or the 7 chakras. And in so doing, the identical energy that's illuminating this light bulb is the identical energy that's going into my chakras or my mind or my brain waves. So this is a new way of looking at mental and psychological health. Working through a force field. It's not a chemical, obviously. We're not working in person. We're working through the energy field. And I access a person's energy field through a photograph because everything is energy. And a photograph of a person has their identical energy code. So if you will, a person can be in 2 places at once. In the scalar energy realm, the quantum realm, you can exist in 2 places simultaneously. So when a person emails me their photograph, that person, if you will, bilocates energetically to my laboratory. So this is the safe process in which we can work with people in an energy field without chemical consequence, without any negative side effect. Why? Because we're only working through their force field, their aura, or what some people might call their chi or their prana. This is a new branch of physics in which we don't work with physical matter, we work with force fields.
Well, I appreciate you really giving us like a comprehensive demonstration and illustration of this. But for people like me who haven't heard of scalar energy, could you just tell us a bit more? How does it exactly work? Are there
Yes.
any steps that we have to follow?
Yeah.
How do we begin with this process?
Yeah. Well, to that end, I have to prove what I'm doing. Now, to be clear, nobody's ever duplicated my results. This instrument is unique. My approach is unique. I am at the forefront of scalar light research, at least within this particular pursuit that I have for quantum wellness. So when we're working with this dimension, it's crucial to understand we're not working with the electromagnetic spectrum. This is not Newtonian physics. Now, if this is new to your audience, I understand. This is groundbreaking. I work alone. This has been my lifetime work, and my work is indeed avant-garde. It's cutting edge. So it's not the last time that you hear about scalar energy. It's a new and emerging science. Nikola Tesla tried to introduce this science to mankind. He actually built a tower in Long Island, New York, that was able to illuminate light bulbs like I am able to illuminate. But 100 years ago, the world never heard of scalar energy, and the world was not ready to embrace that concept. Things have changed today. We realize that there is scalar energy or quantum energy. We understand that there are force fields, that there's something beyond that's invisible, but still a force field. Electricity has a force field. Why can't scalar energy have a force field? It does.
Now, Tom, you've alluded to earlier about chakra or chai. So how does it relate to your practice?
Yes, very good. So scalar energy, if you will, is a vortex. It spins. That's its nature. It's a double helix. And if we if we look at the philosophy, or at least the theory behind a chakra, chakras spin. It's a vortex. So it's always been my contention that the 7 chakras, the 7 meridians, if you will, are 7 spinning chakra centers, 7 spinning scalar energy vortices. So it only makes sense if you want to access your scalar energy chakra system, you need a scalar energy instrument. Now, to prove that point, or at least to correlate that point, when people go under this program, they say that their chakras are balanced, that they're happier. Many people say they have a very deep and vivid dream state. Others have gone as far to say that this has lifted their depression and their anxiety. Now, how is that possible working through a force field of a photograph? Well, it only can be explained by way of a scalar energy theory in which we download scalar energy into the quantum field. That scalar energy corrects the scalar energy vortices, the chakras themselves. I've always had the contention, I've always been of this mind that electricity will cause an imbalance of our chakras, whereas a scalar energy will rebalance the 7 chakras. So I think we're on to, if you will, the gateway to proper quantum health, not only, if you will, energetic health, but mental health through a force field, a scalar energy force field.
Now, what I'm really intrigued about this, Tom, is that like a lot of people, they're interested to try it and see if they can really, boost their mental health and well-being. But because a lot of things that we do now, it's remote. So can everyone, no matter where they are in the world, be treated by way of photograph, like remote healing, as you put it earlier?
Yes, it is. That's correct. And that's the only way I want to work. Why?
Mm-hmm.
It's simple, it's safe, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is email a photograph. Earlier today, I was working in my laboratory with thousands of photographs. Every day I receive collages like this and I print them out, and I work with thousands of photographs. So if we can have a conversation through our computer, okay, telephonically, then why can't we have a conversation through a photograph? Why can't we send information through the photograph? We
Yeah.
can. Now, you're not, obviously, Dennis, you're not in my laboratory, it's your image.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you were to send me your photograph, you're not going to travel to my laboratory, you send your image to me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the new science where we can transcend time and space through a photograph.
Now, Tom, you've been working on this for 2 decades now. So has this always been this way? I mean, your approach is more of remote healing, or has it evolved over the years?
No, it's always been through a photograph. Why? That's the way this instrument is designed. The instruments
Mm-hmm.
are not designed to work with people or animals. They're only designed to work with photographs, if you will. If I place a photograph inside the instrument, well, that accommodates what uh, uh, an 8 by 11 photograph. I cannot place a person in this instrument, nor would I want to start working in that biological sense. I want to keep everything non-physical, informational. And I've had great success working with this aura, this information body. So it is a new science, and the world is starting to accept my research.
Now, you've mentioned this is a new science, so obviously, I suppose a lot of people are skeptic about this. So, what would you say? How do you address the
Yeah,
criticisms, the skepticisms? Because usually they say if this is really, if sounds too good to be true,
yeah,
to say that cliche, it is.
that's fine. I've heard that 100 times.
Mhm.
Well, consider these are engineered instruments. I'm working with instruments of science. I'm working with energy. Energy is flawless. Let me make this very clear. Energy is a first principle. Energy, light never makes a mistake. Energy follows the immutable laws of science. So I am following the immutable laws of science. So to be clear, there's no human reasoning with my work. I am not the animating force. There is no human input here. It's only energy. So people should not, and obviously they will not discount energy. Energy is flawless. Energy is the first principle. And then to add to that explanation, go to my website. You'll see thousands of testimonies from people around the world who say they no longer have these mental health issues, or others who say that they no longer have a viral load, say for herpes. So why would I receive thousands of testimonies around the world from people who have this, if you will, favorable experience?
Tom, you mentioned about viruses. I'm just curious if it works with all viruses,
Yeah,
like
yes, it
say
does.
COVID, for instance.
Yeah, let me explain how this is done, and I'll show you
Mhm.
how straightforward and how there's no human reasoning. I'm going to hold up a number of photographs of the herpes virus. Okay, this is a magnified photograph of herpes. Now, in practice, I would place my photograph side by side the herpes photograph. So what? There's always a download. There's always a sharing of information. So think energetically now. Think along the terms of information. By placing these two photographs in the instrument, the energy of the herpes virus communicates with my quantum field. It's always a quantum communication. It's always non-physical communication. If I had the signal of herpes, if I had the, if you will, presence of herpes inside my quantum field, the instrument would identify the herpes virus in me and then negate the signal. We bring the herpes virus to a state of chaos. Once we bring this herpes virus to a state of chaos, it ceases to exist. We've, if you will, nullified its intelligence.
That really sounds fascinating, Tom. And I just want to pick up what you mentioned earlier, because you mentioned that a lot of people has given testimonies, and people can access it through your website.
Yep.
I'm just curious whether, in your experience, it also impacts, scalar energy also impacts when it comes to stress reduction and emotional balance, or anxiety or depression.
Yes, it does, and I'll tell you why. The energy in and of itself is self-corrective. Now consider that this energy is a first principle. It's from the sun and the stars. So it, if you will, dictates, it, if you will, commands nature. So this is the first energy of the universe, scalar energy. And in so doing, it's not only responsible for photosynthesis, as you've mentioned, but it's also responsible for our brain waves, for the coherence that we need. It's responsible for our happiness. It can download instructions to not only correct our chakras, but if you will, sometimes improve our memory, sometimes improve our disposition. Some people have said that this energy produces a state of euphoria. Now, all of that stands to reason because it is a first principle. Nothing can impede this energy. This energy achieves the task that we ask of it. And it's just a natural. Scalar energy is life-giving. It's life-enhancing. There's no negative side effect to this. So many people have said that they've been, after a few months of sessions, they've been able to give up, say, cigarettes or alcohol. Well, that's not through my intervention. Apparently, the energy has rebalanced or corrected their conscious, or in some way has attenuated their desire for cigarettes, alcohol, for recreational drugs. We've heard that from so many people. Now, bear in mind, the only operation on my part is I insert a photograph into the instrument, and then I let the instrument run throughout the day to operate throughout the day. So the operating principle is always scalar energy. But again, many people have said that they've had a reversal of their depression or their anxiety. They're much calmer. Some people have come out and flat out said, I no longer have an addiction to cigarettes or heroin. Well, that's beyond my control. I don't claim that I'm the healing element here.
Absolutely. And I think what would be a good takeaway to what you're explaining here about scalar energy is that it could be complementary to other, therapeutic sessions that you may have when it comes to mental health, when it comes to anxiety, or even boosting your mood. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, and
Hmm.
that's very
Hmm.
prudent. So
Hmm.
I'm not trying to rewrite the book on anything. I'm simply trying
Absolutely.
to introduce a new tool, a tool in which we've never really discovered, we've never really delved into its wonderment. Non-physical energy, scalar energy, not electricity, not magnetism, scalar energy that's corrective, scalar energy that's self-directed. What do I mean by that? The intelligence is inbuilt. It's not my intelligence. I let this instrument and its corrective behavior, scalar energy has a corrective measure about it, to produce that salubrious effect, to bring about that favorable outcome. This is really what I like about my work. I want to be very keen on this. There's no human intervention. It's all divine energy.
Absolutely. And Tom, because you're the one who created it, I was wondering if there are any sort of improvements, enhancements going on with scalar energy. Essentially, what do you think is coming next in the field of scalar energy, in relation to research, in relation to its application?
Yeah, thank you. Well, within the next year or two, I want to start working with millions of people by way of the
Mhm,
photograph.
mhm,
This instrument can easily accommodate 5, 10 million photographs at a time. I could treat a
mhm.
nation, if you will, in a couple of days with this photograph. And then after that, once I prove that this is energetic health, quantum health, I think there's so many other applications. I've worked with people around the world. We've worked with farmers with their crops. We've improved, if you will, the yield of their crops. I've worked with people around the world now, beginning to work with livestock, with farm animals, able to improve the health of farm animals. And then past that, eventually we're going to get to the point where we can take this energy and we can illuminate light bulbs at a distance. That we won't need an infrastructure. We won't need telephone wires. We won't need substations. We'll simply take the energy from the sun and the stars and illuminate a building. So that will be free energy or relatively inexpensive energy for the world. That's one of my goals within my lifetime.
This sounds really multifaceted because earlier I was just under the impression that this is all about psychological well-being, but you mentioned farming and also just kind of another source of energy. But obviously there's so much things to cover here, so I'll just put the link to your website so anyone who wants to delve more about scalar energy, they can read it up on your website. But I just want to wrap this up with some quick fire, light-hearted questions. So we'll skip the scalar energy. I prepared some quick fire questions for you, Tom, just to
Okay.
learn more about you as a person. So first one is, what were you afraid of as a child?
Sometimes I was afraid of failure, but I've overcome
I thought you were going to say you were afraid of the dark.
that. No.
Okay. And what is your favorite word in another language?
Can you repeat that?
What is your favorite word in another language?
Yahweh,
Which means
God,
God
God's
in.
presence.
Okay.
It,
And if you haven't been the creator of this technique, what would you have pursued in your life?
I probably would have had a career in academia, either as a professor or in some way trying to improve the educational system.
Mhm. And finally, the floor is all yours. What should people take away from today's conversation? I understand that you want to provide a code, a special code for our audience. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. My website is scalarlight.com. Please visit the website. You can read the articles. And then you have the ability for 15 days of free sessions. All you have to do is email us, once again, your photograph. You can send your family and your pets. And then we'll let you decide the merit of this system. You will decide by way of the benefits of our 15-day free session. So in order for me to prove this, and I'm willing to do so because I know this works, energy always works, energy always accomplishes its intended task. Go to the website, scalarlight.com, read the material. You can avail yourself to the 15-day free session. You can tell your entire family, you can tell your school, all of your cousins, I want to prove this to the world. So try the 15-day free trial.
Absolutely. So everything, the link will be on the description note. Now, Tom, in a world seeking new solutions and healing, your inspiring work with scalar energy lights the way to a brighter future. So, Tom Paladino, a visionary in the field of energy healing and a trailblazer in harnessing the power of scalar light. It's been a pleasure having you here on the DRH show, and I look forward to hearing more about your impactful work.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you.